One of the interesting things to witness in Canadian politics these days is although Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and the Liberals keep trying to attack Piere Poilievre as uncaring and radical, a loose cannon in press conferences, you can see Justin Trudeau constantly trying to emulate him. And Piere Poilievre is not actually radical or a loose cannon or anything like that. That's just simply what the Liberals are trying to paint him as. Whenever Justin Trudeau tries to do an impression of Piere Poilievre as a strong figure who's taking control of press events and attacking his opponents with alacrity, Trudeau just comes off as kind of unhinged and like he's having a freak out. And that's exactly what happened when he went to some factory in Ontario and started attacking Poilievre's plan to bring manufacturing jobs back to Canada. And after I go through this clip, I also just want to show another clip that the Liberal Party posted itself because it kind of demonstrates the duality of politics. This clip we're about to look at was clipped by True North, a conservative news publication. You guys should follow them on social media. They do good work, even though Andrew Lawton is now going to go run for the Conservatives. They still have good people there. So yeah, go follow True North if you can. I'm not affiliated, obviously. But this clip is from True North, but later the Liberals posted effectively the same clip. So the Liberals thought this was great. At the same time, conservative media is just pointing and laughing at him for not being able to emotionally control himself over a question about manufacturing policy.
Last week, steel and aluminum CEOs and opposition leader Piere Poilievre called for the federal government to match the US's tariffs on China. Why has Canada not moved on this yet?
Well, first of all, it's a bit of a joke that Poilievre is suddenly talking about workers in the auto industry. He has said repeatedly that he wouldn't be making these investments in our auto industry. He wouldn't have invested. He'd be cutting our investments in EVs.
And so for the context, and that's a great freeze frame on Justin Trudeau's face right there. I should take a screenshot of that, frankly. The context is that Trudeau is going after Poilievre for opposing EV and battery subsidies in Ontario, but Piere Poilievre wants tariffs on Chinese manufactured goods, which I'm totally okay with. I don't like green energy subsidies. It's subsidizing things that most people in the market do not want to buy, but tariffing China is a perfectly good national security move to make. I like free trade, but I am also fine with tariffs in cases of countries that hate Canadian values and the West in order to not basically fund their growth. We should have tariffs against North Korea. We already do. Tariffs against Iran are great. Tariffs against Syria. Tariffs against any other country that hates Canada or the West, perfectly okay with me because I don't want them being in front of being part of the family of free trading Western countries that actually care about democracy and oppose communism. And so that's what is really animating Justin Trudeau here in a very severe way. Doug Ford is here because Doug Ford is not a conservative and he keeps backing Justin Trudeau on every stupid big government subsidy project that he undertakes because Doug Ford is not a conservative. Doug Ford is just a bloated big government politician.
In building an extraordinary EV supply chain in Canada, something that we've been doing as a government in partnership with the government of Ontario and others right across the country over the past 4 years in a deliberate strategy. Bring in Volkswagen, bring in Stellantis, invest in Honda, invest in the EV supply chain from mines to manufacturing and recycling. We have been there every step of the way, and the federal Conservatives continue to say they'd cut it all.
Yes, because it's subsidized. It's not saying let's tariff a country who tries to interfere in our elections and is effectively just inflating their currency to be able to sell cheaper goods into Canada to artificially inflate their manufacturing sector. That's not a real country to have good trade relationships with. But Justin Trudeau then trying to contrast that by saying, well, why do they keep opposing our EV subsidies? Because they're subsidies, because it's not a product somebody wants. A tariff is going to be less destructive for industry than a subsidy, because subsidies are making investors in Canada invest in the wrong things by basically having the government back it. I'd rather the tariff exist, lower our own taxes, lower our own regulations to also make it organically easier to manufacture in Canada, rather than the government keeping regulations and taxes high, not keeping tariffs off of China and then subsidizing products in Canada that nobody wants, when the Chinese then get to keep manufacturing non-electric, non-EV products and then selling them back into Canada because we, for some reason, don't want to manufacture those ourselves.
They don't support it. They don't believe in investing in Canadian workers. So him to suddenly turn around and say, oh, we're worried about EVs, that's baloney. He's looking for a political angle because that's all he does. But in regards to the CEOs and the steel manufacturers and partners in the industry, I can tell you, for the past many months, we, alongside Minister Mary Ng, our Minister of Trade, have been working with stakeholders, working with community.
He's really going for the Oscar on this one. I haven't really noted the performance yet, but this has just been cartoony so far. Like, again, he's trying to do more of like, because this is actually what Poilievre's very good at. He's a little bit more, in a certain sense, monotone when he talks on policy. But if he gets animated about the way that the Liberals are, hurting the economy or anti-democratic things they're doing or the corruption of the current government, he can get animated, but in a way where he still looks professional. Justin Trudeau, when he gets animated, just again seems like a cartoon character jumping around and like moving his arms and like, oh, that's the baloney, blah blah, and like not being able to keep himself looking like an adult for a second here.
Community groups working with international partners on making sure that Canada's EV advantage remains. Canadians have invested in this future, and we're going to make sure that we follow through on it.
Dude, Doug Ford looks like he wants to kill himself. I just got to say that.
So Poilievre jumping in front of the parade or trying to is just silly. We have stood up for Canadian workers in the auto sector. We will continue to stand up for Canadian workers in the auto sector. We will continue to make sure that we're using all necessary tools to drive a greener, cleaner economy, which means great manufacturing jobs here in Canada, more opportunities for Canadians. This is a conversation that we've been having for months, and we will continue to have to make sure these investments we're making that Poilievre would cut are well protected for the future.
That was just so weird. He's just so weird. I'm not trying to use the word weird just because that's now going around the left, but it's just such a weird press conference. It's just can't compose himself. Composure is a great thing to maintain as a politician. That's why political activists don't usually do well in politics, because activists tend to be very hyper emotional on how they talk about issues. And Trudeau is either comatose or he's like that, like someone gave him a shot of something and he's just like super animated about the topic. And he's just lying. Our manufacturing has been contracting over the past few quarters. Well, Justin Trudeau tries to ballyhoo the fact that, wow, we had job growth in the first quarter of 2024. It's all on the back of public sector jobs, of just fake jobs, effectively. I'm sorry, it's fake jobs. It is taxpayer funded, ditch digging and refilling in those ditches. It's not real jobs. Manufacturing has been going down because it's not affordable to manufacture products that you can actually sell for a profit in Canada. But now I just want to quickly jump over to what the Liberals shared, because the Liberals literally shared this clip thinking that this was a great this wasn't actually from the clip, I believe, but this is from another part of the event he did, that this was like supposed to be really great content that Justin Trudeau was generating that day on manufacturing. And again, not knowing that all this just looks very desperate and strange.
Piere Poilievre has been clear. He will cut these investments in Canada's future and cut jobs for Canadian workers because he won't invest in workers and in the future. See, every government, every leader has choices. We've chosen to invest in Canadians, invest in workers, invest in our future. Poilievre has chosen to write off Canada's auto sector, to let good middle-class jobs disappear, and to let down Canadian workers. Well, our government will never let that happen.
You think the carbon tax being in place would be a pretty good testament to the fact that the Liberals don't actually support the auto sector. They're replacing the auto sector with the EV sector. And you could say, well, those are still automobiles. Sort of. At the same time, it's subsidized. It's fake. It's fake jobs. The only jobs Justin Trudeau knows how to create are fake ones. And even there, he's like manic, Justin Trudeau does not know how to actually compose himself in this era of Canadian politics. He wants to be the energetic, tough guy, but it just comes off very weak and kind of, unkempt whenever he does it. Poilievre is very good at sort of maintaining that strength, even when a reporter's coming after him, being able to maintain his composure and take control of the situation. Trudeau does not know how to take control when he's trying to make a statement or, take a powerful stance on something, because he just comes off like a weakling, because he is a weak person overall. He relies on the mainstream media to do his work for him. And now that the Conservatives are 20 points up in the polls and the mainstream media has nothing to do for him now, they don't have the skills to pull Poilievre down. Now Justin Trudeau is trying to finally come out of hiding and take back sort of the political momentum with no ability to actually do that. He used to be actually good at this. Back in 2015, 2016, he used to be far better at doing press events, at connecting with people. But since he stopped doing those town halls early into his time as Prime Minister, his communication skills have gotten so rusty, so he'd almost just comes off like a caricature of himself, of being the energetic, sunny ways guy. Well, Piere Poilievre doesn't believe in Canada. I believe in Canada. Sure you do, man. It's been 9 years. You really can't do this act anymore. Anyways, that should be it for me today, guys. I'll be back later with another video. But if you want to support the channel, always like the videos, share these, subscribe, and then you can also donate to the legal fund in the description below. We have a Chinese billionaire suing us for defamation that in over 2.5 years he hasn't even been able to come up with a shred of evidence to prove that we've defamed him, or he even suffered any damages by one of our guest writers briefly mentioning him in an article in which they literally cited a big long Globe and Mail investigation about the guy. We basically said nothing new about him, but he was too scared to sue the Globe and Mail, so he decided to sue me, who was 22 years old at the time, and I have been fighting him ever since December of 2021 because we don't back down. It's cost us $32,000 so far, but if you apologize to a bully, they're just going to come back for more in the future when you did nothing wrong in the first place. Anyways, see you guys all later.